going to help the live. You know, I'm trying to push this thing, y'all, push it real hard, you know, because there's so many people like myself that needs the help. There's so many people who can't, you know, are not at the where they need to be to share. But even if you come on here and just listen, it'll help you build up your courage. It'll help you build up more information and education on how you can handle, you know, or prepare yourself for the battle of sickness, you know, and the families that don't understand, you know, is getting I think you're getting a great understanding of how this works in the addict and alcoholic. You know, it's a rough thing, y'all. It's a rough fight, but you know what? At the end of the rainbow, it's beautiful. Believe that. I'm sitting here, I'm telling you this thing from the heart, and I'm living proof. Believe me when I tell you. You know, and you know, if I have people on here that are in recovery or have questions for recovery, please ask them. You know what I mean? Please share. You know, when it, you know, if what I'm talking about. Hey, sweet, what's up, cousin? And Sharita, how you doing? You know, share with me. You know what I mean? Because that's going to help somebody else. And they can always go back to this and, you know, see some of the questions that are being asked. Plus, I want to stop for a minute. I think this is necessary. You know, if you are asking questions and I can answer them, I just want to recognize some people, you know, with some of the questions that you're asking. Like Victoria, you're saying, amen, this is an awesome thing you're doing. You know, God bless you. I truly believe that. You know what I mean? But he's also blessing you for being on here. That's the thing. You know what I mean? It's the connection, you know, about this disease and about recovery, you know, and living as the addict or the alcoholic that connects us. You know what I'm saying? Most of all of us have experienced somebody or know somebody who's suffering with this disease. You know, if it's not in the family, if it's not you, you know, if it's not a friend that you know, or the old lady down the block, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It can at least, you know, it's offering the information, you know, and good information and education to help people, you know, start knowing that they are not alone with this. You know, this is a rough situation to try to deal with on your own, you know. So, you know, they say everybody needs somebody. Well, that's what this is all about. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? You know, I want to catch some of the things that are being said. Hi, Rosetta, how you doing? I'm so pleased that you're on here every week. I really appreciate you. And I know you got a lot of good wisdom too. You know, put some on here so I can read it out and shout it out, because I'm getting pretty good with this. I'm just going to shut it a few minutes, you know, my mouth a few minutes, and read out, hey, boo, and read out some, you know, some of the questions and, you know, good wording that you guys have on here too. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to become, and that's what I wanted to do. Is that my niece, Melissa? Mwah, mwah. Love you, niece. Love you so much. And Boo, hey, Rabia, love you. Love all of you. I really do. You know, I was saying, you know, you already do it. Some of you already do it, but I want to stop every so often and catch some and share, you know, period, what you are writing. Because sometimes it be so many of you on here that it moves so fast that some of us don't catch, you know, some of the questions and some of the remarks that everybody is making, you know. And I just think that it's fair that everybody, you know, I could shout out some of what everybody is saying, you know, to help somebody else, you know. So I really appreciate y'all. You know, Rosetta, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Jacqueline, hey girl, how you doing? You know, you Melissa is saying you love what you're doing. You are a blessing to so many people. Thanks, niece. I'm trying, you know, I'm trying to really just stay blessed. You know what I mean? You know, it's this is not just for, you know, you all, it's for me too. You know what I mean? So as I do it, I'm growing as well, you know? So I appreciate that. I appreciate you even saying that, baby girl. I love you too. You know, Rabia. You breaking your fast. Girl, do what you got to do. You know, I know your heart is here. And that's Rabia. You know, and you know what I'm saying? Oh, you're breaking your fast now. It's time. Okay, that's great. I'll catch on what you said. Lauren, how are you, Lauren? I miss you a whole lot. I wish you would just call me or something. I feel neglected. I appreciate you so much, Lauren. Thanks for that beautiful comment too. You know, yeah, I think I'm getting a little, pretty good with trying to focus on what's in front of me. They tell me I need to turn it around, but I feel cuckoo when it's turned around and I can't see, you know, on here. But better things is coming. You know what I mean? Where I won't even have to worry about this because I'll be being filmed with it. You know what I mean? It's just that I love this so much that I want to get it all the way it's supposed to be. You know, some real good things is getting ready to start happening. Y'all will see. I don't want to spoil it. You know what I mean? But you'll see. But for now, we're going to keep on doing it the way we're doing it and get this thing done how we get it done. You know, so. Hey, Marta. Love you. That's my bestie. Thanks for coming on, y'all. Love y'all. And again, everybody, you know, once we're done, just share this. I want to run, you know, the little t-shirt sale that I have going on. If anybody is still interested, they're actually doing pretty good. You know, if you want to get one, just let me know on here for right now. Hey, Lamika, Mimi Chambers, how are you? Thanks for coming on. You know, and if I'm missing people that I haven't seen prior, believe me, it's not on purpose. But the minute I see, you know, that I could catch it on, that's why I just love taking this time, you know, and just shouting out everybody and letting everybody know I see you tonight. You know what I mean? I can't catch everybody every night, but I'm trying to make this happen in a way that I can start doing this. You know what I mean? Because until I do it, it won't get done. You know what I mean? You know, I love shouting out the names, and I'm going to always do that. Hey, Sharita, you said, I love the way you break the disease down. As you mentioned always, this disease is powerful. But we can recover. Absolutely, we can recover. All you have to do is want it. Want it that bad, you know? Again, and this is what the segment that I put together tonight is all about. It's not just going to be about, you know, the things that disease have us out there tricking and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna share with y'all too. If it wasn't for that disease, that I could say today on a part of me and who I become today, I don't know if this Tracy would ever exist. You know what I'm saying? But absolutely, you can recover. Anybody can recover. I'm going to say anybody can recover, you know, and it's sometimes it could be very, very dangerous for some people because they've been using and drinking for so long. Like I said, I see some people pass from it, you know what I mean? But I also see them be clean at the same time. You know what I mean? So in other words, it's never too late. It's never too late to recover. Never too late, you know, because that's between you and God. That's who that's between, you know, and he's the one that'll do the judging, not the people, not the places, you know what I mean? And sure enough, not the things, you know what I mean? Hey, Devin, thanks for coming on. Hey, Bev, how you doing, sis? I ain't seen you. How you doing? Yeah, so, you know what I mean? Us having this on Wednesdays and becoming a family, you know what I mean? And sharing freely. You know what I mean? You know how you most of you know me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm built from, know what I come from, you know, but a lot of you didn't know I was suffering. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm putting on masks, you know, for you to see this person, which that person was Trey, you know what I'm saying? And then Tracy was suffering at the same time, you know? So it became a time where people who was addicts and alcoholic got sober and they helped me. You know what I'm saying? They helped me. They gave back what they learned and was blessed with, and they gave it to me. They shared things with me, and now I'm sober. You know what I mean? So I'm doing the same thing that was given to me, and it ain't cost me not one dime. All it cost me was to want it, be ready for the fight, and know that I'm going on this roller coaster ride. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say it was all easy. You know what I mean? But guess what? I wouldn't back away from it, and I wouldn't stop. You know, and that's the most important thing. You can't stop, because everything is not going to change overnight. Sometimes nothing changes overnight when it comes from the pain. You know what I mean? But just keep going. Just keep going with it, because this too shall pass. Because disease, you know, the more power and the more information and education that you learn, and your emotions start changing, you know what I mean? You start rebuilding your power. You start rebuilding your power towards this nasty sickness. You know what I'm saying? And it starts weakening. It starts weakening. You just can't stop. You can't give up. You know, every day won't be a great day, but every day is a great day for as long as you keep trying. I hope you understand what I mean by that. Because, you know, I could say some things and it'll come out, you be like, Dad, that was the bomb. That was this, that was that. But this is just how I feel. This is the way I know how to share it with you. You know, it's not a style for me. It's a realness. You know, it's real love, and it's the truth. You know, because I'm living in my truth, and I just tell the truth. I tell the truth about it, you know, and, you know, don't think that, you know, everything about me has dissolved and went away. Now, all that stuff is in remission, because I know if I don't keep saying no and keep believing and believing in my higher power and fighting this sickness, you know, all that's going to it's going to pop right back out of me, and it's going to be worse than it was the last time. And you have to come to believe that, you know, by getting the understanding of what disease is and how it works. Hey, Devin, how are you? And Marlo, how are you? You know, what you saying? Let me see what Rosetta is saying. Rosetta said, that's why I love to listen to you. Thank you so much, because look, I'm very authentic with this. I'm authentic, period. You know what I mean? And what the change from using, you know what I mean, hanging out, living under society's world, you know, and all that. My change today is so much better. It's so much greater. You know what I mean? And I understand society, but it's my choice to want to be all wrapped up into all the things that I used to be wrapped up in. That's a choice too. And I choose no. You know, because no has to mean no by any means necessary. And no is what saved my life. You know what I mean? That is the main, I call it antibiotic of recovery. No must mean no. Period. Point blank. But you got to get to know all the insides and all the information that you need to even know what you're dealing with, you know, and know the power of what you're dealing with, you know. So it's like it's just, you got to keep on and keep on and keep on working on this no matter what. And believe me, disease gonna fight you too. It's gonna fight you right back. Believe that. It's still trying to fight me now after all these years. But guess what? My answer and my medication for it is one word, two letters, one syllable, and that's no. No has to mean no by any means necessary. Understand that. When I say that, that's going to be the one word that's going to save your life for the rest of your life. Ha! Trust me. Trust me. Hey, Shamira. How you doing? I'm coming to get some of that fish too, because I've been having a crave for it. I'm going to be real and honest with you with that. You know. And Jamar, thanks for being on. Hey, Jackie. How you doing? You know, we was just talking a little bit. I wanted everybody to, you know, ask me questions, because I'm going to take time out to look through this so that I can, you know, maybe answer some of the questions that you want. I was telling my clients today, every time I have group, I come to work on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. Miss T, you having a group? You having a group? Because they want me to come in there every time and just, you know, give my information that I have. But I fool them now. I tell them, you're going to start asking me and putting me where you are so I can answer your questions, so you can start fixing you, you know, instead of admiring me, you know what I mean, and how I share and how I give things out. Hell, I do it for me too, you know what I mean? But you got to fix you, you know, and start with listening to what you're hearing so that you can start fixing, you know, or making choices and decisions that this is what I want to do, you know, or is it not what I want to do, you know. So I want you guys to send me questions and, you know, let me know how you feeling too, because this is what the live is all about. You know, I can come on here, you know, me and share all day. You know, if I could do this every day, then I would, to be honest with you, you know, as I've been asked to, you know, but I love the way that it's going. And, you know, only God is going to tell me if I need to do more, you know, come on more or do more. Because, you know, first thing first in me, I got to keep the flow for myself as well. You know what I mean? To be able to give you what you're looking forward to hearing, you know, right. You know, no getting overwhelmed, you know what I mean? Because I can't take on nothing more than I can handle. You know, I've learned that in recovery too, that you know, you just can't, you know, get yourself overwhelmed and all that kind of stuff, you know, trying to do everything, you know, and please everybody. And, you know, I can't get anybody clean anyway. The job to get clean is yours. I can just do what I'm doing and offer the information and education as I do, you know. So I'm hoping and I'm praying, you know, every day that some of you guys on here is getting it. Some of you is hearing it. I want you to let me know that you are, you know, because it's like I be talking every Wednesday, but I'm not getting no, you know, where you are. I want you to be where you are. You don't even have to be a user. You know what I'm saying? You just hearing it and you understanding it can help somebody. You know what I mean? Everything about this can help somebody. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I want you guys to send me, you know, questions and what you think, you know, and what you feel about certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because what works for me may not work for you or may not work for everybody, even though I know it will work for some. You know what I mean? But the responsibility of your recovery and gaining the information and education is your job. You know, I'm just here to let you know that I'm here for you. And this is the way that we are communicating at this point. And I don't care what you have to ask or what you have to say. You know what I mean? I don't take things personal when it comes to recovery because I can't. You know what I mean? You know, so everybody is entitled to how they feel. You know, and everything that I say may not touch home base with you, you know, but I'm still going to offer it, you know. So what you might have to say can help me as well, you know, and put me on a better road, you know, to help somebody else, because this is how this works, you know. Hey, Debbie, I don't know if I said that or not. Hey, Debbie, you know, so yes, I need help. You know what I mean? I want y'all to share. I want y'all to tell me how you feel about it. I want you to ask anything that you want to ask, because one thing for sure, you know, any question that's asked in recovery life, nothing is stupid, nothing is dumb, and nothing don't make no sense. What don't make no sense is the fact that we do drugs, we do poison, we drink poison. You know what I mean? That's what don't make no sense. But to find ourselves and get ourselves back, you know, bigger and better than what we ever been in our lives, a question is a question. And don't feel shame, don't feel stupid, don't feel like I'm not going to ask that. Ask whatever. And if I can answer it, most certainly I'm going to give it to you. You know, so it ain't too much that I can't say about this thing. You know what I mean? Because I know disease pretty damn well. You know what I mean? And I know that it can come through you to come to me. You know, come at me. You know, but I have the wisdom to know the difference because you know what? I pray every day. You know, and I'm always unaware of this thing. And I'm not like I sit in no trance and be sitting here, oh, disease might get me today. You're going to know it because it becomes through emotions, you know, your subconscious mind thinking and feeling. So you definitely can recognize it. You follow what I'm saying? You can definitely recognize it. Or if you can't yet, you will. Just keep saying no and keep coming back. You know what I mean? Because this information will work if you work it. You know, with the help from all of us, you know. So like I said, this is not just for me, it's for you too. A lot of you are saying, Amir said, you are doing a good job, sis. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, so today I was saying, like, you know, life without drugs and alcohol is exactly what that means. It means life. You know what I mean? It just puts you in a greater life. It puts you in a greater position. It puts you in a greater feeling. It puts you in better thoughts. It puts you in better surroundings. You know what I mean? It allows you to concentrate on self, to start building self. It's like, building a house. You know what I mean? For every brick you lay, it's something that's building you up even more. You follow what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. It's a real beautiful thing. And life is beautiful. My life today, I love it. I love every second and every minute of it, because life is short today, y'all. Life is real short. You know what I mean? And I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can, because I love doing it. And I'm glad it became a part of my love, to share and to offer other people. Hey, Veneer. How you doing? I saw you last week and I couldn't get your name out, but I see you this week, baby girl. And I'm definitely going to shout you out. Yeah, like right today, I'm just lifing, you know what I mean? And giving back what I have as a blessing that was given to me, and, we share what we have to be blessed. I feel like, what's that song? Shine bright like a diamond. You know what I mean? Shine bright like a diamond. I feel like I'm just like in that world. Y'all know I like bling any daggone way. You know what I mean? So all that shining I be doing, I really feel it. You know what I mean? I think that's why me and bling connect. You know what I'm saying? But it's such a great feeling. It is such a beautiful feeling for the changes that I have made in my life, and the changes that I know that you can make in your life. Trust me, all you gotta do is come to believe. You do just come to believe in God, a higher power, I'll say, that's greater than yourself. Hey, Donna, how you doing? It just, you got to come to believe. You have to accept the fact, what you about ready to go through, in order to find you. Because trust me, if you drinking and you drugging and you getting it in, you know what I mean, and you going through all this unnecessary stuff that you don't have to go through in life. And don't forget, this is about just life, period. You know what I mean? You're going through man problem. You're going through addictions of shopping. You know what I'm saying? Any type of thing. I know somebody on here that has a shopping addiction on Amazon, but I ain't gonna say no name. But anyway, all these things are addictions, and sometimes they can come in your life and not be great for you. You know what I mean? But I do know the poison of drugs. And hey, Dana, happy birthday, y'all. Wish Dana a happy birthday. It was just her birthday. Happy birthday, girlie. It's all kinds of things. Smoking addiction, gambling addiction. You know what I'm saying? Eating addictions. We deal with depression. We deal with anxiety. You know what I mean? We deal with so much stuff that goes on, in our lives, and it makes us uncomfortable. It makes us feel unhappy. You know what I mean? Even when we have a smile on our face. I call that wearing masks. I learned how to unmask myself. You know what I mean? And I'm still trying to dig deep for masks that may be there that I need to bring them up. You know what I mean? Because it's never a dull moment. I'm always thinking of something. You know what I mean? And saying, Dad, I need to think about that. Like my potty mouth. Y'all know how I get off sometimes. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just all the time. But I've been praying hard, and I'm really trying to get it in my heart to stop cussing. You know what I mean? This is for me. I'm trying so bad. And if y'all notice, I ain't been doing too much of it, but I know it's not going to just change overnight, but just because I'm aware allows me to shine bright like a diamond, y'all. It does, because when I do, I'm like, oh man, my bad. You know what I mean? Oh man. Or sometimes I might want to do it and then I'll cut myself off. You know what I mean? So the battle is on. You know what I mean? I pretty much use my steps for everything to help me, because my steps is the truth. My step is being open to 12 steps for me. You know what I mean? And I don't play with them. Like, you have the Bible, you don't go in the Bible and you don't play with it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I use my 12 steps. It works great for me, on things that I want to do better for myself and things that I know I need to change. And then I share them with, different people that I know, that I talk to all the time, that's going to give me the proper advice. Or I'm even talking to my sponsor now. You know what I mean? Because, she always say, well, girl, you know what you got to do. You know what I mean? I said, look, I'm trying my best. She said, you can't be. You living with disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. you know, so you got to look at the cussing just like that, you know, and it's true, and I already know that, but I got to fight now. You know what I mean? Because I really do want to stop the potty mouth. I mean, some words I say I just don't need to be saying. You know what I mean? And I am doing very well on it. So y'all pray for me on that tip. You know what I mean? You know, like another thing about you know, understanding a disease and addiction. You know, what you saying, Melissa? I'm trying to stop cursing too, Auntie. It's hard, girl, I know. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep praying, and I'm going to keep trying my best to stop, niece. I'm going to try my best to stop. You know what I mean? And I have accepted, you know, because you got to accept things first, and then we work on them. You know, and we have to know that this is what we really want to do, you know, mentally, physically, you know what I mean, and spiritually. You know, so I'm just taking it one day at a time. You know, I do see some growth, and I'm gonna get better, and eventually it's gonna be gone. I already know that. You know what I mean? Because I'm on a battle with it now. You know, and know what I tell y'all in recovery, and I use my 12 steps for almost everything. No has to mean no by any means necessary. You know, so I try to use that, you know, with pretty much everything in building change in my life. You know, I share with everybody that addiction is not who you are. Freedom is. You know what I mean? Addiction is something that we create ourselves by choice, you know what I mean? And decisions, wrong decisions, mistakes, you know, not making the right decision. And you know, freedom, and I do feel free. I feel so free. I feel so free from the beating that I took from my disease, you know, the beating that I took from my addiction, you know, and now today I'm pretty much addicted to recovery, you know, and I thank God for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to change some things and reverse them. You know, once I found a conscious contact with God, you know, I depend on him for everything. You know what I mean? I also, you know how to wait, you know, for that blessing or that answer, you know, of what I'm asking to come. But I know I do have a job to do as well of what I'm asking for. You know, hey, Keisha. What you say? Go, girl. You got this. Hey, look. I'm trying my best, cuz I'm trying my best, and I'm gonna get there. Believe me, I feel like I'm doing great. You know what I mean? And the most important person is me. You know, that's why I'm sharing it with y'all. You know, I need to you know, it's hard to do these type of things by yourself. You know, so people that's around me, hey Pam, how you doing? You know, people that's around me, you know, that's my buddy, you know, my loved ones, my friends, you know what I mean, my closest people. You know, I kind of tell them, you know, check me if I say something. Now, I'm not saying, and I ain't making up no excuse if I say the S-H-I-T word. It's them hard, crucial words. Y'all know that can just flow out of my mouth. You know what I mean? The F word, the F-bomb, and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not good. It's not good to do. You know what I mean? And even though I shine bright like a diamond, it dims the diamond. It dims the shine. So I want to fix it. And I'm working on fixing it. Y'all get it? You know, but like I said, today I'm addicted to recovery. You know, recovery is about progress, not perfection. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I study now since, you know, brother Waleem had shared with me. You know what I mean? And this studying, hey friend, hey Angie, hey Teresa, you know, this, you know, without me studying, it was like dropping a bomb on myself. You know what I mean? And trying to keep myself up with everything that I need to be able to talk about to help the still suffering addict and alcoholic. You know, anybody who's, yeah, girl, I'm addicted to recovery now. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it so much. This is something that I don't want to ever give up, ever. And you hear, I'm not saying never, I'm saying ever. You follow me? Because never is like an enemy word to us in recovery. You know what I mean? To an addict and an alcoholic, because you can never say never. You know what I mean? Because you just don't know when or where or how disease is so vicious and come in and creep in, and before you know it, you right back to what you said you never do. You follow what I'm saying? So I kind of use, that's like part of the medication that we're offered in recovery, you know, to be more aware of and not say, you know, too much. You know, it took time before I can really not use the never word, you know what I mean? But now I hear it like bells on, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, sometimes I'll still say, man, I'm not never going to do this no more. You know, I can say never in different conversations, but when it comes to my recovery, I try to use all the tools that was up to me. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes another language. You know, that's why I said, you know, the way that I talk, things that I say, how I come off, it's just the language of an addict and a recovering addict. You know, a lot of people change in a lot of different ways. You know, it's people that, you know, got clean after me that I mean, it's like, whew, you know what I mean? We need to be talking, you know what I'm saying? Because they got it and they got it their way. You know what I mean? And they sound so good and you know, they doing so well. You know, I don't judge. It doesn't matter if a person got, you know, I'm 37 years in off of cocaine. You know what I mean? And if you 5 years off of cocaine or 2 weeks off of cocaine, and you talking to me and you offering me some information and education, you know what I mean? I don't judge nobody. If it makes sense, it makes sense. You know what I mean? You don't have to have as many years as another person to learn from somebody else. You know what I mean? Because the minute that person surrendered, that person got it going on. You know, so it's not like, you know, you got to come in and think everybody that has all these years and stuff is the only ones can speak this or say this or do this. Sometimes you get that in the rooms. I'm going to be straight and honest with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's people, you know, and everybody don't change the same. You know, everybody don't think the same. You know, so recovery is just not all about, you know, stop using drugs. It's about changing the things that needs to be changed in you. That's what's going to help you stay strong, stay stern, you know what I mean, and become that better person and shine like the diamond that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you got 5 weeks clean and something come out your mouth, that's awesome, you know, because once we get it and once we feel it, man, education comes out your mouth automatically when you surrender. When you say, I'm going to live my life without drugs and alcohol, I surrender, you know what I mean? I'm going to work these 12 steps. Hey, you saying so much. You saying so much to me. Here come the song. You know what I mean? That song I was telling you, like shine light like a diamond. You know what I mean? You got to encourage yourself and be able to accept encouragement, you know, that'll help you find self. You know, it'll help you strengthen. It'll make you feel proud of yourself. You know, because that's another thing a lot of us don't do when we in recovery. You got to start feeling proud of every little thing that you do. You know, if today you woke up and wasn't thinking about drugs, be proud of that. You know what I mean? That is a biggie. You know, if in the middle of that day, drugs come across your mind and you said, no, I'm not going to let that happen, or you follow the tools and the regulations of what it takes to get yourself clean, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Recovery is tricky. It's emotional, and it can be emotionless. You know what I'm saying? That's disease working. You know what I'm saying? You can every day will never be a great day. Every day is not a great day. I don't know who's having a great day every day but God. You know what I'm saying? But every day is not a great day. And this is a part of recovery that it will confuse you with. You know what I mean? In our lifestyle, it'll make us feel like, oh man, I'm just gonna give up. I can't do this. I'm not, this is too hard. I'm just gonna give it up. Don't give it up. Never give up. No has to mean no by any means necessary. You know what I mean? And if you don't give it up, it's a great day. It's a beautiful day. You know what I mean? And you give yourself that glory. You give yourself that love and say, you know what? Ha! I did it. You know what I mean? Some people gonna be looking at you like, oh, here you go, or here she go, da 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 da. But hey, if you say 20 minutes later or hours or later, girl, give yourself that love, give yourself that credit. You follow what I'm saying? Because you deserve it. You deserve it. The fight and the battle is vicious. You know, it's a vicious battle. It's a vicious fight. You know, and people won't really feel it or know it unless they live in it. You know, that's you living this thing. You know, I don't want anybody to live it or try it. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. You know, but when you are locked in and you are the addict or you are the alcoholic, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm feeling. Don't knock yourself for anything that you're trying to do right. Everything is not going to connect just like that. You know, but just because you had the thought of it, give yourself the credit. Give yourself the credit. Sometimes you got to block people out. You got to block places out. You know, you got to block doing certain things. Hell, when I got clean, it was a crack in my wall. Looked like a pipe. You know what I mean? Now, the crack didn't look nothing like the pipe, my brother said. You know, but in my mind, in my sick mind, it looked like a pipe. So guess what? Plaster that for me, please. Because it will keep drawing me and keep drawing me and keep making me think that the thing looks like a pipe. That's the insanity of some of it. But guess what? Once we become aware of these things, that's all a part of becoming aware of how disease work. You know what I mean? How that subconscious mind is in the matrix. Y'all know I love saying that. That's in the matrix. You know what I mean? And the pieces is you're trying to grab the right piece, but it slips and goes somewhere else, and you got to find it again. It's like, I'm a little confused right now. You know what I mean? And sometimes it be hitting in so much of that madness that's up in your head, you know what I mean, that you can't feel quite yet. You know what I mean? You just got to leave it alone. Say a prayer. My prayer is serenity prayer. Slow yourself down. Let your emotions work with your thinking. And that peace is going to come right in your vision, in your mind, in your body, in your soul to put in the proper piece of the puzzle that you're trying to create again. That was pretty nice too. I like that. I hope y'all know what I was saying and understand what I was saying, you know, as I said that. Because like I said, I can roll sometimes and stuff just flow and just come to my head and I can see it clear as day. But I got to remember that I have to try to make you guys see what I see. You know what I mean? So you can kind of like, you know, take the pieces, you know, and fix your puzzle. You know, my greatest act of self-love, you know, is the day that I gave up drugs. That was the best time of my life. I mean, with anything that I've ever done. You know, is when I gave up drugs and alcohol. You know, I learned these tools, and you know, another thing, you know, it all comes with the protocol is when I got honest. You know, when I got honest and I was able to speak and able to share the way that I'm doing now. I have not always been this way, but even though it's been those years that, you know, I put in clean time and put my work in the rooms, you know, and start, you know, working in the rehab for all these years. You know what I mean? Sometimes I still wasn't bringing everything out, being totally honest. You know what I mean? Because once I got to studying, you know, and working in that rehab is something that always keep me wise. It keep me alert. It keeps me, I'm learning all the time. You know what I mean? I'm seeing people, you know what I mean, suffering so bad. You know, that it makes me feel sad for them. You know what I mean? And then it takes me back to me. You know what I mean? Where I was when I went in, you know, the rehab. You know, and even though I did one rehab, you know what I mean? But that was just a place. You know, but in my head, I did rehab a whole bunch of times. You know, we got to understand that, you know, when I surrendered to go into rehab, I wasn't honest with it. I wasn't in full with it. You know what I mean? I gave it a try because I was homeless. I gave it a try because I was weak. I gave it a try because I was deteriorating, you know, and I just was sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? I started learning when I felt like I chose to, when I started getting honest with myself, that's when results started. I actually really started feeling results when I was able to make, decisions that was good for me, and not listen to the thoughts that wanted me to continue to die. Because that's what it's like. It's like the conscience is telling you, look, you're going to die. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I'm going to get you back out there. You're going to rest up for a little bit. You know what I mean? You think you're making all this stuff now. Because this is stuff I used to think about. You know what I mean? I don't know if some of you did. I used to be like, yeah, I'm just going to get myself together. You know what I mean? I'm going to put it down for a little while, and get myself together and, get back with my children and my family. You know what I mean? And, not that I was ready to go tell them the truth, about the way that I could tell the truth now. It was just all these different thoughts because my pieces in my puzzle was all up there and I didn't know that. I didn't understand that it was all broken up, and I didn't understand that my sickness was trying to talk me into, thinking that I'm okay, and I got this 30 days in and I'm good. You know what I mean? Thanks for, the fellowship, that offered me open arms to come to, you know what I mean? And like I said, people who got sober helped me get sober. The people who got sober, I feel like they got sober for me, like I'm sober for you. You know what I mean? And they helped me get sober. But the work that had to be done by me. You follow? With the help of them. You follow? I was told one time, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have this sobriety. Well, I told them back to them, no, I will still have my sobriety because I choose to get clean. You understand what I'm saying? You can't take nobody's thrill and take their credit for getting clean. You have to stay green and know that you're just offering help to the still suffering. But when some people don't stay green, they get big-headed. You know what I mean? Just like anything else or anywhere else. And then they start feeling like, they like the president and then the vice president and then, the secretary of state, and then this person come next. And then here come the big C word, click. You follow what I'm saying? All that's everywhere. That's still the power of sickness to keep the division in the truth of recovery. That's how I see that. You know what I mean? So I learned how to deal with people who was for me, helping me, and not judging me and making me feel like, you know what I mean, that I can't do, I can't say, I can't come, I can't do that. That's not the name of the game. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? Because you had to get it too. You know what I mean? And what they say clearly in the big book is saying that you can't get green. You know what I mean? You can't get ripe. You know what I mean? You got to stay green. So if I said that green the first time, I said it wrong. Staying green means to keep a level head. You know what I mean? And keep the rules and the tools going as they should and not get too ripe in yourself, till disease going to slip in, because that's the one that's making you feel like you got it all already. You know what I mean? We don't never have it all. You know what I mean? Like I said, every day is a learning day. And you can learn from anybody, everybody. You follow what I'm saying? And again, what works for one don't work for the next. But you can't tell me the way that you recover, I have to recover, because that's not how it works. And you have these type of people around in everywhere. Churches, man, everybody. Schools, everybody. Everybody that got something to want to feel like they the boss, and this and that. You know what I mean? And power, it seems like it's power now. I got power because I got 38 years and you only have 2. You know what I mean? Well, you are an addict just like me. I don't care if you got 150 years. You still suffer with the same disease that I suffer with, and you still have to make the same choices that I make to stay clean. You understand what I'm saying? And you can't get too cocky on me, because it's you that you have to really pay attention to. You follow what I'm saying? You're just supposed to give back and help the still suffering addict, but you can't tell nobody what to do or tell somebody what they feel as though they are accomplishing that you don't think that that's enough, or you don't think that that's great enough, or you don't need to be there right now. You need to stay right here until I tell you to move. No! God gives you that feeling. God will tell you when you got to move. You follow what I'm saying? I've learned that through the years of being clean. You know, yes, I'm going to listen. Yes, I'm going to learn. You know what I mean? But you can smell them. Just like we can smell a weak person. You can smell somebody who think they know everything and they doing everything. Well, for me, I choose to go on to this left, over here to this side, or deal with this person. You know what I mean? And you don't have to continue to be my daggone sponsor or anything like that, because if it's not working for me, it is my choice to make a change. You understand what I'm saying? And y'all all hear that. It is your choice. Your recovery is about you. You are the diamond that has to shine in you. You are the one that has to get clean. And if because somebody is clean and somebody is sober and they got all this time, don't mean they better than you, because they still suffer with the same disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And this disease will break them just like it'll break me. This disease will take their lives just like it'll take my life. So you live with this disease for the rest of your life. You don't have to behave like the disease choose for you to behave, but you got to know that it's there because it's you. How about that one? Getting a little hype here, y'all. It's been a minute. I ain't been feeling good. I can't get off, but I'm going to get off tonight. How about that one? I'm going to definitely get off tonight. And that was needed to be known, because a lot of us think, oh, you in charge, like you in charge of somebody. You ain't in charge of nobody but yourself. You know, anybody who's sponsoring, anybody who lives on this earth, you are in charge of you. You know what I mean? But you have to be open to learning. You have to be open to understanding. You have to be open to respect. You have to be open to know that you're no different than me. You breathe just like I breathe. You bleed just like I bleed. You know what I mean? But whom I choose to call God and where I'm at in my steps and how I'm working on my steps, you don't judge. You don't judge. You just make sure you okay. So in the rooms, I had some people saying that to me today. I said, well, the rooms is people, places, and things as well. Any and everywhere you go is. Making the right decision and choice is yours. You follow? Making the right decision and choice is yours. Had to say that. Had to bring that out a little bit. You know, me, I'm the type of person that I love to see people like me become happy and successful in their recovery. You know what I mean? And realize that life is, recovery is not, how can I put this? Recovery is not like, recovery is a journey, put it that way, not a competition. I think that's better words. You know, it's a journey, not competition. You know what I'm saying? Staying sober is what we all have to do. You know what I mean? We all have to do the same thing. We have to stay clean. We have to stay sober. You know, and it's like, how can I put this? It's called building life one day at a time. I think that's a better way of putting it. And we all have to do this one day at a time. You know, that's what Stan Green is. Doing this one day at a time and not get too ahead of yourself. You know what I mean? Because when you get too ahead and you start running in speed when you still just walking, and now you think you're running, you know what I mean? And you're going faster and faster, then you're going too fast for yourself and you trip and fall. You follow what I'm saying? It's like that. You know, so they guide us to stay green. You know what I mean? And just take it one day at a time, because it's such a vicious fight and it's such a crazy thing, you know, that even you could feel real good, like I said, and then the next minute you could feel bad. You know what I mean? Or you can get bored, or you can get, you know, like, oh man, I'm so tired of doing this. I'm so tired of this life, because I went past a valley like that. You know what I mean? Because I don't really go out anymore. You know what I mean? Or party, you know, too much anymore. Hey, I still got the party in me. You know, it's just when I want to go. You know, it's just certain places I don't want to be. And in my surroundings is all of where I don't want to be. You know what I mean? So I had to get comfortable, you know what I mean, with myself, you know, and just pray and say, you know what? I'm going to be all right with being home. It's my castle. This is my place where I'm serene. I'm cool right here. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about nobody or nothing else. You know what I mean? I'm at peace. I'm in my world. And peace is something that we need, you know, as an addict. I say people, period. It's just something that we need. We need to be able to go somewhere that is yours. I look at my foundation, you know, of what I've built for myself. You know what I mean? And where I'm at today and still building, you know, and thanking God all along, you know, but I wasn't doing these type of things when I was out in the street. I wasn't doing these type of things when I was going out all the time. You know what I mean? I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I was doing it because I was bored. You know what I mean? That's how back in the day I ended up drinking. You follow what I'm saying? Disease, vicious, boy. It's cunning, babbling, and powerful. And my peace, my serenity, all that is right here in this house. I can stay in this house for months as I do. You know what I mean? And don't go out and be in here party and have people come over and we party. You know what I mean? Go to certain people's homes. You know, go to certain places. I mean, I still go out. I ain't no little hermit or nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I ain't running no streets either. I ain't out there in society racing with them no more. You know what I mean? And it feels good. It feels so good. It feels good, you know? And when I come out there, sometimes people expect that, except for when I started this live. You know what I mean? A lot of people is watching, you know what I mean, or hearing about it, you know what I mean? And they don't see me out there no more, you know, like I used to be. You follow? And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You know, and I didn't change to be, you know, shady. I didn't change to be, you know, like I'm better than you now. I changed for me so I can continue to shine like the diamond. You know what I mean? As I feel, I love that song, always did. You know what I mean? I was thinking about it, you know, and I played it at work, you know, and it's just all in me right now, you know, just shining like the diamond. You know, it made a lot of females feel so good about themselves, you know, and just feel good just to hear it. You know what I mean? Then it takes you back to where you was, you know, and it makes you feel great to who you becoming today, you know, and how you're just, you know, shining. You're just looking beautiful again. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us look very, very, very crazy and ugly. You know what I mean? And so did I. You follow what I'm saying? But guess what? Anybody can say I'm ugly. Anybody can say whatever they want. But I loves me and I'm shining. You know what I mean? And I'm able to deal with whatever comes to, you know, at me. And it's my choice to either deal with it or not deal with it. So I know how to walk away. And I told you the most important word in my life today and in your life as a recovered person is going to be no. No has to mean no by any means necessary. You know, so that puzzle that's up there and that matrix up there, I'm doing a good job at putting the pieces where they need to be. And it makes me shine more and make me love me more. And it makes me feel good more, and more. You know, I'm just full of it. You follow what I'm saying? But I'm green. You know what I mean? I know I have to stay green. You know, when you become this person and you find your person in you, you know, the real person in you, you know, and when I say that too, I don't mean everybody that watch this live, you know, because you'll say things like, I'm good, I'm all right, you know, I'm this and I'm that. To each his own. I'm saying if the shoe fit, wear it. If it don't, let it fly. You follow what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you the real deal on how beautiful it feels, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with it at all. You know what I'm saying? From what things that I did and places that I've been and I've done things to who I am and the places and the things I do today. Oh my gosh, it's such rewarding, loving feeling. It's just rewards, you know, to be able to get honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Get honest with yourself. That is a beautiful feeling. It really is. It's a beautiful feeling, you know, and you still got things suppressed and we always have to dig deep. You know what I mean? And I keep working on whatever I need to work on one day at a time. I don't rush and do anything to try to get everything done because I don't think that'll ever happen. But every day that I do get things done and in the time that I'm getting it done, I'm going to live good. I'm going to live loving God and I'm going to live loving my change. You know what I mean? And I'm going to live loving to help other people make change in their lives, you know, and understand that we are not walking dead anymore. We are truly waking up and walking alive. You know, I say that a lot. Under addiction, under the power of addiction and disease, we walking dead. You know what I mean? But under the power of recovery, we are starting to wake up and walk alive, you know, and grow on top of that, because disease can't really whoop us. You know, when we find ourselves and we get that higher power, we whoop disease butt. And y'all, I almost was getting ready to say the ASS word, but guess what? I recognized it. You know what I mean? Because I said, Tracy, you ain't got to say ASS. You ain't got to say ASS. But we whooping his butt. We tearing it up. We letting them know that we are still here and we want us back. You know, we want us back. We don't have to do this. And you a punk without the drugs and the alcohol. You follow what I'm saying? Because I got Trey in remission. And she dry as I don't know what. You know what I mean? Because I'm not feeding her. You know, and I recognize the fact that she'll try to play in my head too and play in my emotions too. You know, so I'm actually getting the lock and the key on her, but knowing that she's strong enough to break out of it. You know, I'll never say that she's gone. I'll never say that she's not around. She's always around because she's me. You know, I've learned that through recovery. I've learned that through all the information and education that I have received, and just to make the purest sense of what this thing is all about. And you can do the same thing. You guys, everything you say make a sense to an addict or a recovering addict. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to make sense of it. You know, we have to know whether or not it's good or it's bad, you know, and it could be good, but we don't feel that. So we have to put that thing in remission and work on that later, you know, and somewhere, somehow, and in the growing and the growth of what we're learning and the way that we're trying to live, will bring that back to us maybe sometimes later. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I've done, a lot of ways that I was that I couldn't see. You know that's how it was, because I'm doing greater and better things for myself, but I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? There's nobody that's perfect, you know? And we deal with so much every day, because every day is a freaking adventure, you know, for everybody. You follow what I'm saying? That sometimes we get overwhelmed and we get frustrated, you know, and we feel the same way, you know, that a normal person who never did drugs before feel, you know, but we'll always be looked at. Our behaviors and all that will always be looked at. It'll always be remembered by the other person, but you're the most important person that has to remember all these things itself. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Staying sober is one day at a time. Like I said, you know, it's building a life one day at a time. You know what I mean? So you just can't rebuild your life just like that. Hell, you can't build a house in an hour. You know what I mean? Or in a day. It takes time, you know, to build it. And like I said at the beginning, every brick that we lay is going to get higher, and you lay another brick on top of it. You know what I mean? Building this house, and you put another brick on top of it. You know what I mean? So life is just growing. It's getting better. You know, you're getting to feel, you know, things that you never felt before. You get to feel in honesty for what honesty really is. You get to feel in how you lie and what lying really is. You get to feel all the things that you have been attacked by with this sickness that you didn't know that you was developing, with a higher power and information and education from people who's just like you, help you to build your house. You know what I mean? And keep building your house. And as you build this house, you have to give yourself the credit and the love and say, I can do this, I will do this, and this is going to happen, you know, but for the grace of God. And give God the glory. You know, I have to say that in that way, you know, because it's a beautiful feeling. It is a beautiful you. You follow? Where sticks and stones can break your bones, but names don't help you as long as you loving you. I like that. That was good. That was real good. You know, today I just take recovery serious, man. I take it really serious, you know, because I have to. You know, and I don't argue with people about recovery. I don't argue with people who disagree. I don't do any of that. You know what I mean? Because it's for me. You know what I mean? It's for me, and you have a right to disagree, you know, to agree. You know, it's okay. You know, I don't argue about anything, you know, that I feel about recovery. I don't argue with an addict. You know what I mean? I don't even argue with people, period. You know how some people can't talk about religions? You know what I mean? I don't argue about religions. You know, some people can. They get personal and get offended and get, all out of whack. Hey, look, people are entitled to their opinions. That's going to always be, and it's their right. I just know how, I can't let it affect me. Okay, if that's what you feel, that's what you feel. You know what I mean? If what I'm offering you and what I'm saying to you is not going to work for you, I can't be mad. Because this is just coming from me, things I know about it, that how it works for me. You know what I mean? And I'm just offering it to you. You don't have to agree with the things that I'm saying. You don't have to, people are still saying, yeah, right. She swears she this now, or she thinks she know everything. No, I don't. I know enough to me to make me shine like the diamond. That's all. I just know what makes me happy. I just know what I can and cannot do. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to listen. You know what I mean? So I learned how to do all of that, to hear, to see. You know what I mean? I learned how to fight, and understand this disease that is cunning, baffling, and powerful that I live with, you know what I mean? And not allow people, places, and things to direct me in the wrong direction. When I have a tool to work with, I have a higher power to work with, and now I can think, and now I can feel, now my emotions are working, my thinking process is working, and I still have this sickness, but I'm very dominant over it because I've learned and know how to take the medication that gets me where I'm at. You know what I mean? I take it very, very, very seriously. And I recognize me when I'm falling off track. I recognize me when I say something or do something. I can say, I could have said that different. You know what I mean? Or I could have said that better than that. You know what I mean? It ain't like I don't get in arguments no more, on certain things. Y'all know what I'm saying. But when it comes to recovery, I don't argue about recovery. You know what I mean? Because I don't have the right to tell nobody how they should do it, when they should do it, why they should do it, and you should do it the way that I do it. I just offer the truth, because the truth is the light. I don't try to prove it to nobody, and because I don't have to. You know what I mean? Because like I said, action speaks louder than words as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? And if your eyes is not open to see the action that I prevail in me, then so be it. Long as I know, long as I see it. And this is why I always say we keep it on the eye. But as I share and as I offer what I have, it becomes we. You know what I mean? So, it's like I take recovery very seriously, and that's what you have to do. You have to take it very seriously, to keep your attention, basically on you. We call it a selfish thing. We call it a selfish program. You know what I'm saying? I use program and I use these type of things because I might can help somebody that want to go into a program. You know what I mean? Or want to go into a rehab, because y'all, guess what? It's okay, but I let you know that they're not like they used to be, the ones that I know of. You know what I mean? They took a lot out of the rehabs, but we got this, we got technology. You know what I mean? It's still rooms going on 24/7, every day, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? There's telephone hotlines. You know what I mean? You build yourself up a group of people that, that's willing to help you, you know what I mean, with addiction of disease. You know what I'm saying? You build your people, places, and things around who you want around you, who's going to help you, who you feel like the help is coming from that. You know what I mean? You can't be in a denial, because somebody's telling you the truth, because I'm going to talk the real stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk the real stuff to you of what I know, because it's called our language. You know what I mean? If we can't soften on, certain things, we can't allow you to sit there and be lying. And I know you're lying. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to call you out. You know what I mean? And then that's for you to want to make the change with it or want to surrender. Like I said, we don't flip around in one day. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And I understand it down to the nitty gritty of it. You know what I mean? And I don't judge you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I know everything, but I will try and offer you information and education to try to help you. And if you don't want it, it helps me. You follow? It say better them than me. So, taking recovery serious is a must. It really is. It's a must. Hey, T, It's a must. And Ty, if that's you too. I see you girls. You know, hey May, how you doing? Now I'm a look on here and look back on some of this to see if any of you had anything to say. You know what I mean? And just to, hey Anye, love you girl. You know, and to see if you know, you guys want to ask me anything of what I've shared so far and what I've been talking about so far. You know, I know tonight I've been keeping it on the eye. You know what I mean? But still shooting some, you know, some info out there, you know, because I want everybody to know, hey, Karen, hey, sis, you know, Chrissy, how you doing? You know, I want everybody to know that, you know, that like just coming off these 2 weeks of those infusions, man, that stuff had me really down. You know, it like being sick. This thing is crazy. Disease is playing me. You know, it's trying to play me anyway, but I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? So I can't sink into it, you know, even though I'm in pain, y'all. You know, but with those infusions, it's like that stuff made me feel worse. It ain't make me feel better. And this thing's supposed to make you feel better, not worse. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor, but I don't trust them either. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting ready to get another opinion up at the specialist at the University of Penn. Now, see, this is how God works. You know, when I retired at 62. And at 62, you don't get your Medicare or anything. I get that this year, being 65. You know what I mean? So I had to get the Medicaid from welfare, you know what I'm saying, for my insurance. And being as though I'm living in Delaware, I can't take their insurance out of Delaware. You know what I mean? So I had to deal with all the doctors that I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? When I already had doctors, but I had to change them all up. You know what I mean? Well, guess what? God is good. You know what I mean? I said, I'm not going to be soaking in this, and I don't like some of the things that's happened to me with this thing. You know, and I'm a sick individual. I don't need to be feeling down. I don't want to give my sickness any energy. That's why I'm telling you, it's serious. You got to take this thing seriously in the world of addiction and recovery. You know what I mean? Because disease works through you. It worked through them doctors. It worked through that machine out of sit down and take for 7 hours, you know, and all this kind of stuff, giving me pills that end up blowing my face and my head and all that stuff all over. I've been through a journey with this thing. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to let it break me. I'm not going to let it keep me down. Hey, Kathy. Kathleen, hey, beautiful. You know, I'm not going to let it keep me down. I'm believing in God, and I know that my God got me. You know what I mean? And what he tells me is that now I can get another opinion. Because I went back to work. I did what I had to do. Yes, I retired. You follow what I'm saying? And I was starting to love it and enjoy it because I had my, you know, my decor and stuff. You know what I mean? This devil put a sickness on me that I couldn't even decor. You follow what I'm saying? So my ways and means of money, you know, went too, you know, for a while. Now it's really getting me depressed. It's really getting me crazy. And it had me down sometimes, but now I know how to keep myself up from it. You know what I mean? Uplift it by sharing it too. You know what I'm saying? That's because people don't know what people's going through. Like, you know, I can look this way and be in total pain or be, you know, in my head, you know what I mean, with this sickness and all this stuff, right? You know, it ain't looking for no damn attention. One word. It ain't looking for no attention. You know what I mean? But I have to speak on it, you know, so that I can let people know what's going on with me. And people's going to offer you love anyway. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I get from mostly everybody that I surround myself around. You know what I mean? To help keep me up. You know what I mean? And I pray about it all the time. So now that I went back to work, I went back as a PRN, you know, but when that medical thing started coming up and all these crazy things start happening from all these medicines, you know, to pull my hair out, thin my hair out. Oh, speaking of hair, y'all see I got hair now. Thank God for weave. But anyway, you know, in my real hair, I had beautiful hair. It's just about gone. It was like being on chemo. You know what I'm saying? This thing was crazy, you know? And now I have an appointment with the University of Penn to get that second opinion that I need. You know what I mean? If they say this is what I need to do, this thing, that stuff they giving me is what I need to take, then I have to take it in order to live. You know what I mean? Because my sickness is inflammation and nerves and my immune system is basically being jumped by a couple of diseases that's making my immune system fight me. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping a little short story in there with it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you can't, you know, every day I feel pain every single day. Every single day. You know what I mean? And sometimes when my sickness tried to break through a little bit. You know what I mean? On this particular, not that I want to use drugs. You know what I mean? It breaks through on what I know I need to do for my life. You follow what I'm saying? This is what I mean by so many things that can affect you, and there's so many things that you can call an addiction. You know what I mean? Because this is how I look at this thing now. You know what I mean? I have to put it in my head my way in order to build my strength. You know what I mean? And have something that I can use to fight it. You know what I mean? And guess what they are? They are my 12 steps. They are my higher power. They are people, places, and things that I keep around me to keep me up. I got people that call me every single day to see how I'm doing. You know what I mean? Knowing that I'm loved that way. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. Even when I go into work, my clients will say, "Hey, Miss T, how you feeling today?" Or they could tell when I'm not feeling right. You know what I mean? Or if I'm around nieces, nephews, they could tell, you know, when I'm not feeling right, that jolly Tracy. You know what I'm saying? But all the time, Tracy is not jolly. You know what I mean? Tracy is like in her head at times, and I need to be around people and be able to tell people how I'm feeling. You know, that's a power pool for us in recovery. We can't keep things that are hurting, can't keep things that are confusing, you know what I mean? Like it's a secret. It's not a secret. You know, it's a sickness that I have. You know what I'm saying? And I have to learn to live with me. This is another part of me, again, in a disease form. It's just crazy. You know what I mean? But I thank God today that I have the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I mean? And I am able. You follow? I am able, and I will not allow this sickness to take me down and have me bedridden, you know, and have me all crazy in my head, because I know that I can live with what I have. It's just the fact that I don't trust, you know, and that's a big thing for us as recovering addicts. It's hard to trust. It really is. They don't trust us when we at our active addiction, but we don't trust them at our active addiction or even getting better. You follow what I'm saying? It's a remedy that you have to take, and it's called prayer. It really is. I'm learning that it is all about prayer, and I have to hand it over to my higher power. Even on my bad days. I have more bad days sometimes than I have good days. That's why I said every day is not a great day. You know what I mean? I deal with a lot. I deal with a whole lot. You follow? And then disease make me start thinking about all the things that bring pain to my life. I start thinking about my mom. I think about my sister. I truly think about my son. You know what I mean? And then I have to pop out of it. So I have people that I can pick the phone up and call to. I call my kids. You know, I call some friends. You know what I'm saying? I call people. You know, I call my sponsor mainly. You know what I mean? Because we talk about a lot of things, you know. And she's been right there by my side. You know what I'm saying? Through my sickness. You know, and offering me good information, education on keeping myself right and giving me suggestions in what I need to do, you know. And I just thank God that I have all this love. I have y'all every Wednesday. You don't know how much I look forward to these Wednesdays. These things keep me going. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's just not for you. It's for me too. You know what I mean? Because I'm human and I deal with a whole lot. You follow what I'm saying? Hey, we all gonna be dealing with a whole lot messing with Trump. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm glad I'm learning how to live one day at a time. You know, I ain't gonna go out all crazy, you know, flying over the mulberry bush. You follow what I'm saying? I'm gonna go out with strength. I'm gonna go out with love. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go out with enjoying everything and everybody that's around me, you know, and wants to be around me. Sometimes it's some of us that needs to make amends, but they don't think that they need to make amends to you. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I just pray on it. Like, you know, sometimes you can go over and over and over and over things with people, and you know, it's still the same thing the next time. You know what I'm saying? Well, that I can't do. I don't have no room for it because I deal with so much of me. You know what I mean? So I'm selfish right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm selfish in a way, like it's selfish for me right now. It's like a knight in shining armor. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I mean? And I got to keep that there until I can get myself where I need to be. You know what I mean? And but I still have to continue to make the right choices for me. if you understand, what I'm trying to say. But being sick is no joke. And I look at this disease just like I look like the disease of addiction. You know what I mean? Because this little disease thing done popped out of nowhere too. I don't even know where it came from. But it came. You know what I'm saying? And I'm stuck with it. And I got to live with it. So I got to make more room in me, you know what I mean, to live with this thing. You know what I mean? And live still the way that I'm living, one day at a time, and not allowing it to come in and be friends with my sickness, of addiction. You know what I mean? And they try to jump me. You follow what I'm saying? This is how I think, y'all. This is how I think. You know what I mean? And my thinking works for me. It might sound crazy to somebody else, but it works for me. You follow what I'm saying? So it's so important to keep things on the eye and make right choices and decisions for you. As long as it's working, you keep going. You know what I mean? And you keep doing it the way that you're doing it. And all I'm doing is using my tools of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. I'm using those 12 steps. You follow what I'm saying? I'm following those rules because if they can get me and bring me back to who I am today, to a person that I love so much, I believe that it can have anything change in me. You know what I mean? Because I believe in it. You know what I mean? And I love it and I'm living it and it works for me. So I hope some of these things that I'm saying, if I say it tonight, is working for you. So you guys and we try to find some of your, Melissa, you said self-awareness is key. It absolutely is. Teresa said Pharaoh, it says Pharaoh was watching, hold up. Donna said, yes, we try hard to make a conscious decision. Tell them, Donna, sometimes that conscious decision can be like playing in your head a little bit. You know what I mean? But you come to that understanding and what's good for you regardless to what it is, and you make the decision. That's so true. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't allow myself to get thrown off key or off guard, for somebody else's stuff. You follow what I'm saying? And I try to keep me, on key and stay green. Life is like a, what Forrest Gump say? Like a box of chocolate. That's what his mother told him. And I know exactly what she meant. You know what I'm saying? You just never know what piece you're going to find or what piece you're going to get. You know what I mean? But you got to be ready for whichever one you choose to eat. You follow? So, I hope tonight, you know what I mean? I had said to you guys that, I take my recovery really serious because it helps me almost in everything that I do and choices that I make. It's like recovery is priceless. That's what it is. It's priceless, and it's a safety zone. You know what I mean? It's a builder, on self. It's being stable with self, growing in self. You know what I mean? Accepting self, accepting the truth, surrendering to the truth. You know what I mean? It's like makeup. Almost, for every piece of makeup you put on your face, it's supposed to enhance your face and make you feel beautiful, and look better. Me, I ain't too crazy about no makeup, in the real world of makeup, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel beautiful without it, to be honest, you know what I mean? But I like to play in it every now and then, but normally I'm going to keep it natural. You follow? Because I can look at me and love what I see without all of that. You know what I mean? That's just something that I do. You follow? Regardless of where I'm going or what I'm doing. You know what I mean? God gave me this face. You know what I mean? And it's up for me to take care of it. Instead of painting on it all the time. For me, that's just how I feel about, makeup. But I think it's beautiful. And I think people are beautiful in it. I will try it on the eyes and all that sometimes. And it really make me look even more beautiful. I'm just not a person that's into wearing it all the time because of my life that I live. I love this natural look. I love this beauty that I see, because I see more than any person will see in me. You know what I mean? I see a lot of beauty. Used to see the devil's face. You know what I mean? And he made me not want to look at my face. You know, and now I love looking at my face. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, you know, in life, you know, that I've made changes with, and that I can see, you know, clearly now that the rain is gone. You know, well, the storm, you know what I mean? Because it's still raining, you know what I mean? But at least I got through that storm, you know what I'm saying? And just, you know, loving on me for me, you know. I said, I had wrote this down. The price it took me to get here almost took my life. I heard that somewhere. I think I saw it on something. It said the price it took me to get here that almost took my life was called was what it took me to a point where, you know, it doing the drugs and, you know, doing all the things I used to do that comes along with drugs, you know, took my life, basically, is what I'm saying, you know. And I was like, again, walking, living dead, you know. And today I walk around the hole, you know. I don't go towards the tunnel anymore, you know what I mean? And I just see things different than what I used to see things, you know. That sickness it was like I call it anyway, like disease, you know. I call learning to get where I'm at choice, you know. And knowing that I had to learn how to want it all, you know. I don't know if y'all understand me what I mean by what I'm saying, that, you know. But, you know, it's a lot of people dying out here over these drugs and over this alcohol, you know. And families is hurting, you know. Families is hurting real bad. Loved ones is hurting, you know. Children are hurting, you know what I mean? As well as when we're in active addiction, we mock what we see, a lot of us. You know, you might be a child of that, you know what I mean? And thinking that, you know, it all looks good, like partying is nice, and then all of a sudden you see this person just deteriorating, turn into this monster, you know what I mean? And then this person comes back, you know, and has done a lot of things, y'all. You know, we have to learn to forgive, you know, forgive but stay alive and live and let God, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you see somebody that has been using and that has made change in their lives, you know what I mean? All it's called is just to respect them. You know what I mean? If you don't ever want to speak to them another day of your life, that's your choice. You know what I mean? But we learn in our lifestyles to make amends, you know what I mean? But have the wisdom to know the difference. That sometimes we have to live and let God, you know. Or sometimes the right time is not the time of when, you know, they think that they can make amends with you, you know what I mean? But it may not be your time that you want to accept the amends, you know. And we have to accept that, you know what I mean? Because we have been victimizers for the whole time of our, you know, addictive behaviors and actions, you know what I mean? So when, you know, we get clean, we can't expect for everybody to have open arms, you know, and forgive, you know what I mean? You know, and that's for them to talk to God about, you know, to make that choice and decision for themselves. But don't allow it to break you, you know, because we can't fix them either in how they feel about us, you know, and the things that we were doing when we were victimizing them, you know, and then playing victim once, you know, we got stepped to. You follow what I'm saying? Or, you know, not having any tools or understandings of who we really are with this disease that is cunning, baffling, and powerful, you know. And I wanted to say that before, you know, I go off, you know. And, you know, y'all keep praying, you know, keep praying for the still suffering. I hope people are looking at us differently today, you know, that comes on and watch this live. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, everybody is going to be fixed. But who wants to get fixed will be fixed if they want it. You know what I mean? And if you're open for being fixed today and right now, and I hope that this segment tonight helps somebody, you know what I mean, and gave you another thought on change, and making change in yourself. You follow? I appreciate everybody coming on. Don't forget, y'all, that, Tracy Living in My Truth is on YouTube as well. And if you want to come on and share, you are very welcome. If we have to do it the video way, y'all, look, I got it now. I know how to do the video, and do it now. But I have the remaining of this month 3 great speakers that's going to come on and share, and I'm going to put their thing down and tell them, talk whatever they choose to talk, and what they feel they want to talk about. A lot of it can be real and raw. I consider everyone real and raw. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can get a little rawer. You know what I'm saying? Because it's whatever the person is actually feeling and they need to get out. It's an open mic, actually. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably going to help them. People come on here and share things that they didn't even expect to say. You follow? Which is a blessing for them. And you're helping them do that. You know what I mean? By being on this live and watching, if you have any questions, again, before I go off, don't be ashamed. Say something, say something, let me know, that you've been, you listening at least. Let me know that you're hearing something that is good and positive. Let me know if it's helping you or if you're suffering with, drug and alcohol addiction or any addiction. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if you feeling comfortable, or you're getting more comfortable with the situations. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it, because I have a ear that knows how to listen today, and I'm a person who don't judge. You know what I mean? I'm a recovering addict, but first I'm an addict. You know what I mean? I could talk about things, I could share things, and it wasn't easy to get where I'm at, but I'm here because I say 1 word, 2 letters, 1 syllable, and that's no, and I don't let my sickness get in my way because I'm able to recognize it now. I'm able to hear it now. I know when it comes through me, most of the time through people, places, and things. It may take a couple times before I catch the people, places, and things thing. You know what I mean? But you know what? God is praying. Is over me. He's guiding me through what I'm doing. And inviting me down that road that I'm walking. You know what I mean? So again, you just have to just take yourself serious. You know what I mean? And know that there's going to be bumps and downs and ups and downs and, hickeys and punches. You know what I mean? But guess what? Don't let it fear you. Don't let it take advantage of you. Just say no. You know what I mean? Just pick up a phone. Talk to somebody. Don't lie. You got to start being truthful and honest with yourself. This is why this is called living in my truth, because I'm trying to get clean. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get clean, not just from drugs and alcohol, but just from that bitterness of devilish behavior. You know what I mean? Lying and manipulating and, causing a problem or causing pain. You know what I mean? I'm also at the same time trying to stay away from it too. You know what I mean? So it's a process. So, with everybody that's on here, I thank you. If you want t-shirts, mugs or jewelry, all that's coming out. I have a very nice spring line that's going to come out. And I know, a lot of you are going to want it, and I hope some of you support it. You know what I mean? Again, I have the our 1st year anniversary of Tracy Allen Living in My Truth that will be happening on June 14th. I'm going to continue to give the information as we go along, to tell you the dates. I have great people behind me, great people that are willing to help with it. You know what I mean? Anybody that is, just let me know. You know what I mean? It's for us. It's for all of us. And you're truly welcome. And I have TK oh shoot, I can't even get it out. TK Make It Happen. who helps me with a lot of the things that I need, you know, and to do, hey, y'all, look, they vicious too. I'm telling you, Ty and T, they are awesome. And Quan, you know what I mean? Quan has built a video movie business. You know what I mean? He's awesome. He getting ready to bring some bigger and bright new things to me. You know, T&M does all the fly. They make almost absolutely anybody. Y'all got to follow their page. You know what I mean? These young people are awesome. Awesome. And I learned so much from them. Again, don't forget, we ain't too old to learn from young folks. You know what I mean? You know, and ask them for their help. You know, I think that's a beautiful thing to do. Hey, May, I miss you, girl. I want to say that. Kathy, I see you. And Margie, thanks for being on, sis. You know what I mean? You know, leave some positive, you know, quotes on here for some people. You know what I mean? Erica, love you. You know I do. You know, Renee, thank you. Love you. You know, my son, I see my son is on here. Amir, as he be all the time. I'm going to call him my father. He's like my dad, y'all. You know, but I love him to death. April, how you doing? Love you. Donna, thanks for being on. Love you too. My sister Hud, Diane, you know I know you always there, girl. Pretty much. I'm gonna call you too. Quan, that's Quan too. Quanda, is this Quanda or Quande? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it though, but thank you so much. You, Jackie, thank you. You know, Rosetta, thank you again. I love seeing you come on. I love seeing all y'all come on. Hey, Sophia, I'm just seeing you on too, girl. Venus, oh my gosh, Venus Jackson. Hey, girl, love you. So glad to see you on here. Tanisha Thomas, thank y'all so much. I thank everybody. I hope I pretty much got a little bit. Akbar Muhammad, thank you. You know, Valerie, thank you. I see you, Val, my girl. Anya, my daughter-in-law, you know, Tish, thanks Tish, thanks for being on, another great person, you know, Karen, my sis, you know, Chrissy Swiggett, my sis, you know, Rafia, thank you so much for being on, Donna, you know, my cousin Keisha, everybody, just thank everybody for being on, you know, y'all know I'm feeling it, because my voice is getting, I'm sorry, it's getting cracked. But hey, look, y'all, I'm gonna see y'all next Wednesday. I think they come so fast, you know. I just love them. You know, they come so fast. Dana, I hope you had a beautiful birthday, my sis. I really do. Pamela Wesley, hey, girl, thanks for being on. Angela Crawford, Angelise, Vermeer. Hey, look, this is beautiful. This is so beautiful. Tamara, mwah, mwah, that's one of my sponsors, y'all. This girl helped me so much in my recovery, boy, so much. I seen her, I admired her right away. You know, love you, Tamara, love you so much. You know, Jamar, who else? Devin, thank you. My girl Marta, my girl Angie, Lauren, love you so much. Rabia, you know you my heart. You know, thank everybody for coming on. And Boo, missed you, love you, girl. You know, you see I done went long, right? But thanks, everybody. I'm going to get off the line now. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And where my Denise at? You know, I love you, niece. You know, Dowd, love her to death. Y'all, I have some nice things, too, before I go off that's really going to be nice at the first anniversary that we had, you know, so I hope a lot of you will come because you need to be there, put it that way, you know what I mean? So I thank y'all. I'm gonna come off with the serenity prayer. You know, I got to get used to my hair. Y'all know I'm doing all this now too. But God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not ours. Hey, Amira, thank y'all so much. Y'all can give me some hearts. Hit them heart button. Y'all hit that heart button. I need y'all to hit that heart button. Hit that heart button. Let me know you there. Let me know you appreciate. Let me know you heard something tonight. Just hit that heart button. I forgot to even tell y'all about the stars, but whenever y'all do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? It's not like I put that there. Facebook's put that there for us. you know, when that is on. So hit that star button up to let me know that you guys was there. I appreciate you. Thanks, Renee. I can see you even did a star now that I mentioned it. You know, thanks so much, y'all. Hit them stars up. Y'all know I love them. Y'all got me hyped and amped and appreciative right now. And my cousin Debbie, it is so beautiful to see you. Thanks, everybody. I really do. Hit me some of them stars. Y'all know them stars matter. Y'all know hitting that star button matters. You know, Tracy, hey Tracy, how you doing? Thanks for those beautiful stars too. I love you, girl. The ones you sent on the phone. Denise Doward Jones, I love you so much, and you know that. You know what I mean? Push that button, that heart star down the bottom, y'all. That matters for us. Push that heart button. You know, any of them little faces or whatever they are down there. You know, and just let Facebook know that y'all enjoy and the live is great, because that's what that does. You know, I'm learning all about these things, but I'm going to see y'all next Wednesdays. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed tonight as much as I did. Hey, song, before I go off, I see you, daughter.